to me and to Cindy, to my family, to have you here. This was indeed more than just the writing of a book. It was really a labor of love, and felt, I guess, as close to birth as I can feel as a man next to a kidney stone, I guess. But it was a positive experience, absolutely. It really is wonderful to have all of you here this evening. And please, I'm only going to talk for a little bit and hopefully elicit a bit of a conversation, but it's not going to be long. And the most important thing is it will not be a complete Jewish event unless you went outside. We have Pip and Miriam Meyerson have prepared some wonderful food and nosh for us and more wine and everything else. So please be sure you eat something. And if you haven't gotten a chance to check out Holly Levin's incredible cake that is unbelievable in its photorealism. It's just, even the dappled sunlight. It's so difficult to get that on a photograph, let alone on a cake. It was unbelievable. But so profoundly indebted to a number of people, just off the top, to my wife Cindy, who not only was supportive in helping me to carve out precious family time to do this, but also has been integral in a lot of the logistics with the book, to my wonderful assistant, Kathleen Kallmeyer, who also has been incredibly involved and has threatened her Irish mafia of friends and family to be here this evening to be helpful. And to Devlin Donnelly, who's in the back filming, but he has been wonderfully integral in the artwork and in the great website design. I can't speak for the actual content of the website in terms of the writing, but the design and the look of it is all Devlin, and we're just profoundly grateful. I mentioned Pip and Miriam already, just very, very grateful. And grateful for all of you for being out here on a Wednesday night, although I was worried about the snow or what have you, and that's always an issue in Seattle, but it was a gorgeous night, and everything worked out beautifully. Also, afterward, directly after, I will, and it will be my honor and pleasure to inscribe any other books that anyone has. So while you're eating, so thank you. Just very briefly, I wanted to talk a little bit about the book and elicit some of your kind of responses. Timing is everything in life, right? And some of you already have come up to me and told me that this couldn't have been a better week for this book on this subject to come out. I knew that the book would be somewhat reflective of my experience here in Seattle, which has always been on the cutting edge of religious experimentation and kind of outside of the box spiritual thinking. But who knew that the week that I was having this wonderful launch, a significant major survey would be published on the changing face of faith in our country. I don't know if you got a chance to see the ARIS, the American Religious Identity Survey from Trinity College, something they do once every 8 to 10 years or so, came out. And I knew it was something that really was making a huge impact on the culture, because it was like on the front page of USA Today, right? And if it's on the front page of USA Today, it means people should be thinking about it, and it should matter. But then I asked myself, why is this on the front page of USA Today? Why would what should normally be kind of something that would only thrill academics or scholars or people who are sociologists, why should a study of faith or the lack thereof in our country, why should this evoke so much media frenzy? I mean, before I even saw the USA Today article, I was turning on CNN, and of course Lou Dobbs, contrarian of all contrarians, had a huge panel talking about this. It had barely come out that Monday morning, and already CNN was covering it, USA Today was covering it. I think some of the reasons are that it's become such a kind of a crucial thing within our culture is that mixed messages about faith are rampant in our media. Some of us are saying that we are the most devout nation in the world. A recent survey by the Pew Trust for Religion and Public Policy said that we Americans are unique in the world in that we spend like the French, but we believe like Mexicans. In the sense that we have this consumerist, acquisitive nature like the first world, but our beliefs are much different than any other first world country. Our beliefs tend to be, across the board, at least until recently, much more like the third world. How can we be both? One of the answers, of course, is that the media and any kind of survey tends to oversimplify and tries to create a black and white dichotomy between, people who are either totally faithful or totally lacking in faith. And so the media tends to oversimplify these things, which is why, but the answer actually is much more complicated, which is why people like me write books, because it's complicated, right? Some of the results of this survey that were of particular importance, that really made the banner headlines of USA Today, the percentage of Americans claiming no religion. That is, they're asked in the survey, what's your religion? And they say nothing. They don't say, oh, lapsed Christian or cultural Jew or whatever. They say none, nothing. In 1990, 8.2% claimed that designation. In 2001, 14.2% said nothing was their religion. And in 2008, this most recent survey, 15% of those in this country, believe it or not, said that they had no religious affiliation. That's an additional 4.7 million of what's called the nuns. Those who, not N-U-N, of course, right? Because they are religious, right? No, the N-O-N-E-S. Those who claim, who respond in a survey when asked, what's your religious affiliation? They say none. And the nuns, next to Catholics and Southern Baptists, are the largest and most quickly and the fastest growing religious group, so to speak, in the country. It's the only group, the nuns, to have grown in every state of the Union. And it used to be that the Pacific Northwest, we were on the cutting edge of this, especially those of us who work in the shul biz, in the business of religious leadership and religious communities. We've known this for a long time. Seattle has really been moving in this direction for quite a bit of time. But suddenly, trends that we were seeing only in the Pacific Northwest are cascading across the country. And for the first time, the Pacific Northwest is not the dominant region for the nuns. For the first time, northern New England, led by Vermont, where 34% of citizens asked in Vermont said that they have no religious affiliation whatsoever. And so Seattle's finally been eclipsed. So I can't use that wonderful line that that I'm in a place that's the New York of religion. If you can make it here, you can make it anywhere, right? Now some rabbi in Vermont will be able to use that, and I won't be able to use it. A couple other things that came from this survey that just recently came out: the percentage of Christians, people who identify as Christians, in 1990 it was 86%. Last year, in this most recent survey, 76%. So there's been a 10% decrease in people who consider themselves Christians. And last but not least, of course, the Jews. We're the Jews, so the news is never that good, right? Even if it's still not good. There was a decline in people who characterize themselves as religious Jews, who say that their connection to Judaism is theological and religious. In 1990, 3.2 million claimed that they were religious Jews. In 2001, 2.8 million. And in 2008, 2.7 million claimed to be Jewish religiously. And that's a decline from 1.8% of the population to 1.2% of the population. Doesn't sound like a lot, a couple tenths of a percentage for the Jews. That's a lot of people. It's a little better picture if you ask people if their Jewish affiliation is ethnic or cultural. If it's ethnic or cultural, the numbers rise and we seem to be much more stable over the last 20 years. If you say, are you Jewish by religion, it's the declines that we were talking about. So it's not a surprise to us, it's not a surprise to us who live and believe here in the Pacific Northwest that this is the case. But I was surprised that the Northeast has finally surpassed us. Why do you think, and I want feedback from you, because you're living out there, I live in the rarefied world of thinking about religious things and arguing about how many angels dance on the head of a broadband fiber optic cable or whatever it is. Why do you think that there's such a marked increase in the last 10, 15 years in people who are the nuns? Is this a rejection of religion outright, or is this something else? What do you think? Why has there been such a huge increase in the nuns? Please.